Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I'm your host, Jason Shea. Today's guest is doing something I haven't really seen in this industry. She worked in the intersection of higher education, game design, and publishing. She's also the coordinator of outreach for Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations at Central Michigan University, which own their own publishing company, which I haven't heard of. So it's a very interesting setup. I think they are also the world's only peer-reviewed tabletop game publisher that ever existed. So thank you so much for joining us on the call today.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Yes, and like I mentioned, this is a very, very interesting setup. And I was very intrigued when we first met. It's like, I didn't know university also run publishing company as well.
No.
So can you kind of share the background a little bit of what you guys do and how does it tie to the university curriculum?
Sure. So we are really unique in this space. It's really fun to talk about who we are because it's kind of a surprise to everybody.
Yes, yeah.
So what we do as a press is deeply connected to what we do academically. So
Okay.
at Central Michigan University, we have something called the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations. And you can think of that like an umbrella for a couple different things that we do.
Okay.
So through the center, we have an academic program. We have a minor in game design thinking for students.
Yeah.
But we also, in a manner of speaking, run the press through the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations too. So we have the academic wing, but then the press is really something where students theoretically are welcome to submit games to us. But for the most part, we work with outside designers who submit game designs with us. We play test them, we crowdfund them, we produce them, and we ultimately sell them as well. But that's what's happening at the press. So it's connected to other things that are happening at Central and a desire to be in that space. I have some really cool things to talk about.
I see. So first, before we get into the university-owned publishing company, how do you even get into this program? Like, what is your journey?
Oh, that's a good story. So I was actually a student here at Central Michigan University. I got my major in history. And the reason why I chose to do that was because people were playing games in my history class.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So one of my former professors is actually now my boss, so that works out pretty well. But he was one of my history professors and used these games from the Reacting to the Past consortium. They're role-playing games for students to take on the roles of people in history, sometimes composite characters, but you're looking at real primary sources, you're making arguments in character. And you have this drive to like play your character. So it's the best of learning, but also playing. And then you get really into the topic too, because you're like, oh, I want to make the best argument. So you're like, I want to beat that other person in that debate. Because of that, though, that led me into other avenues in history. And from that point, after I graduated, I got my master's in history as well because I loved it so much and that deep thinking. Games really activate your brain in a different way and show you how interesting topics can be because maybe you haven't considered them from that angle before. And I really like the idea. I think education is very important. I think it's vital for humans. And sometimes education works best for people when it's delivered in a different format. So I worked with a childhood nonprofit literacy for a very long time, and I still do some volunteer work with them. They're power book bags. They're all about reading and making sure kids have materials to read, to write, to play with little puppets, because that's the beginning of how you're learning as a kid. Play is the way that you learn. But then I also worked at a historic site for a long time. I guess 2 seasons, but it was nice and long. And when people come to physical sites of learning like that, they have an opportunity to learn in a different format. And games, I see as sort of an extension of that. It's a way you can experience lessons and you're having human interactions with people at the same time. So it really makes things stick. And it's more than just like academic concepts wrapped up in something that seems cool. It's like if you actually weave the learning material into the game itself, into the mechanics. It's
Right.
something that can be really powerful for education. And it's a way that can draw other people into the space who maybe you didn't expect to be learning as they're playing. But then it's really something powerful for them.
I see. And I think most people have never really heard of a peer review board game publisher.
Mhm.
Can you kind of walk
Yeah.
us through exactly how you work on the university setting?
Absolutely. So when we say we're a peer review, so to be clear, at Central Michigan University Press, we have currently 2 series of games. One series is juried reviewed, and that is the Art and System series. The editor is Tim Hutchings of Thousand Year Old Vampire fame. Those works are not our peer reviewed ones, but they're jury reviewed, like beautiful works of art, like they are. Our other series, though, the one that we're focusing on in this conversation, is the Scholarship and Lore series.
Okay.
Those games go through peer review. So if you're in the world of academia, you're familiar with peer review is something where if you're submitting an article, a book, you want other experts in your area to look at it and make sure that it's vetted for content. So with our games, what we do is we ideally send them to 3 different peer reviewers. We send the games, so it depends on like what sort of area you're looking at with the games too, because we have lots of historical games. We also have a game in the STEM field. We also have a game that's related to creative writing and vampires. So like naturally, who's going to be your expert on that? But generally what happens, sometimes people ask that, like, how can you get somebody to the, but there's other things in that game that we can peer review it for. We didn't have any vampires come forward, unfortunately.
I see. Okay.
So we send a game to somebody who knows the content. So if it's a historian, a scientist, creative writer, things like that, that is the first peer reviewer.
Okay.
Then we send the game to somebody who knows games and knows what makes a game tick, knows good game mechanics, because we want all of our games in that series, even though they have the capacity to be used for educational purposes, we want them to also translate into tabletop casual spaces too. So the second peer reviewer is just to make sure it's a fun game to play and it's a rewarding experience. But lots of our games do address challenging topics. So if we're talking about like fun, it might not always be light, but the mechanics are compelling. The things that you're learning about and thinking about are really deep and interesting. So they definitely have a market in that space too. And then from there, we ideally send it to a third peer reviewer who is an educator who uses games in their teaching space. Because
okay.
One of the coolest things that in this job and in this little subset of the games world is that you run into actually quite a lot of educators who are interested in using games in the teaching space. And they know that it's effective and they're looking for more tools in that area. So for the games in that series, we also produce curriculum guides for the educators who explicitly want to take those games into a teaching space. And most of our games we aim at ages 14 and above, just demographic, but we know college educators can use these games. We know that you can ideally take them and just play them in a big group of people too, if you just want to try something new. So there's all sorts of ways that our peer review games benefit people because you get a good game and you also get good content inside of that as well.
I see. And how does that change the whole design process of the game compared to just purely making the game purely for fun? Because you're also like making it more educational and kind of tie the whole curriculum to it. Does it change the process a little bit?
I have to say, I think it varies based on the game, but I do know that lots of the designers who have published games with us are actually educators. So I think their mindset and their skill set and maybe their goals are behind a lot of what they're doing as they're putting together that game. So for example, Witch Hunt 1649 is a game that recently, we recently released. It's commercially available now. And its creator is Dr. Martha McGill. And she's a professor over in the UK and her specialty is the supernatural. So as part of making this game, she did historical research and included little bits of real historic text on the cards in the game to it's flavor text, but it's also something that you can learn from. So I think having a designer who is an educator is really one of the most ideal combinations because then you can have in the back of your mind, I want to teach these concepts, but you also know how to weave them into an entertaining game.
I see.
Sometimes the curriculum guide designers are the same people as the game designers, and sometimes they're different. So whether or not it starts off that way, we can make sure that in the end, the game, again, performs well in both spaces. Sometimes games come to us and they don't quite meet those requirements, and that's okay. They're still fantastic games, but the ones we're publishing are really made with that in mind.
I see. Okay. And I know the university also run a program called Pages of Press.
Yeah,
where the
we do.
students actually work on real life like publishing or marketing tasks. Can you kind of tell our listener a little bit about that program? How does it work, and what does the student actually do in that program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fun thing about Pages of the Press is that it is something that has actually been evolving over the past couple of years. Last year, we were able to take some students to Gen Con with us. It was a fantastic experience
Okay.
for them, and we really benefited from their help too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so at that time, we had a student working with us, writing marketing materials and helping
Mm.
us with social media. We also had a student who was really our lead in the logistics department. She really saved our skin a couple times. She was
Yeah.
fantastic. And we had other students who came along and they helped us sell our games. We had a table last year at Gen Con where we just talked about our academic programs. There were fantastic ambassadors there. And
Okay.
sometimes we also just needed people to run things like, oh my gosh, we sold out of this game, or we need some more of these flyers. And they were fantastic at just zipping back and forth and really supporting the whole team, and
Mm.
also getting exposure to what Gen Con is like as you know, as an extension of this wonderful, crazy tabletop game industry. Just seeing all the opportunities and all the different ways you can make games and all the people who are involved. So that's what we did last year, and that wasn't
Okay.
the official Pages program, but that's definitely in its DNA. We're
Okay.
still evolving the program. So
Mhm.
what we did this year is we took a trial group of students and we taught them how to play our games, and we gave them opportunities on campus to practice teaching games to others, because something
Oh,
that we learned
okay,
last
okay,
year,
okay, okay.
it's
I
like
see.
you have to know sales, so that's like
Yeah,
one way
it is
to
teaching.
so we're still refining the program too. We have places we want to take it in the future to make it more robust. But I know the students and we the staff have also learned a ton from working with them, and we're just really grateful for
So
their interest
is
too.
the goal of the program try to like encourage them to get into have a career in the board game industry, or is it more to encourage them to run their own publishing company? What is like the goal?
That's a good question. So I think what we want with Pages of the Press and just any of our experiences that we offer to students is give them some real world experience that they can put on their resumes and help them with whatever future career they like.
I see.
So the person who worked with us, the student last summer, was somebody who is now pursuing her master's in creative writing, I believe, or English.
Okay.
So writing things, putting together our press releases, that was super important and very relevant to
Yeah.
what she's going to do in the future.
I see.
Our logistics intern also was doing something in that area. So we are really happy to be a space where students can get that real world experience, even if they're not thinking about going into games. We
Mhm.
do hope that they'll consider it, because we could certainly use their help. And it would be nice to have more young blood in that area too, and minds coming from the specific program. But we want to give them real world experiences for their resume. I think that's really what we want to
I
do at
see.
the end of the day. Whether
see.
or not they're going into games, maybe if they're into marketing or business, that's something that we hope to do as we grow this program and go forward.
Got it. And I know the university also offer it as a major, or is it like a minor program for game design itself?
We do. So currently it's a minor.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in the future, but it is a really, really cool program. We talk to
Mm.
students about how it is actually a pretty small program within the university, and it's
Yeah.
intentionally small so that you can fit it with pretty much any major you would like.
Like,
We know that, and I'm sure lots of us have seen in the world today, games in all sorts of spaces.
Yeah.
One of my niche interests is looking at the themed attractions industry, and you
Mm.
see more gamification happening there. You
Okay.
see sitting in little rides and interacting with spaces through games. If you go to museums, there's all sorts of potential there for interactives in that space, or even scavenger hunts that blow your mind and do something different. And on the other side of things, well, games are also used for corporate training
Oh, true.
and therapy, and not to mention education, which is near and dear to our hearts. But the
Mhm.
idea is that with the game design thinking minor, we're giving students a toolkit. And what they do with that toolkit is up to them, but it should be something that also sets them apart. We really want to make sure that our students are going forth into the world with applicable experience and concepts and something that is useful to them. And it's definitely unique. And it's something that employers and future audiences are going to be looking for as well.
Yeah, I think what you are doing with the university program is actually very innovative, because I think what is really lacking in the industry is the industry itself is getting old. Not enough of newcomer getting into the industry. It's just a whole bunch of like guys in their 60 or 50 running the show pretty much. So that's not enough. Like I feel like younger people getting in from a fresh perspective to like,
Mhm.
okay, this is how we should run a publishing company in 2026 instead of
Mhm.
this is how I have been doing it in the last 20 years. So I
Mhm.
think like having a fresh kind of perspective and also introduce like the industry to more people is very, very important. So the industry itself can actually grow and really kind of shine, like kind of go through different evolution in itself. So do you agree?
Yeah, I love that idea. I think lots of students sometimes don't think of games as a place where they can have a career, or they don't realize how many different, like even within that, like you need marketing, you need logistics, you need production, you need people doing the budgets, you need people designing games, all sorts of things like that. So it's really wonderful to introduce them to that space and then also learn from them, like what they would like. And maybe seeing from that point, like, well, what the industry is going to look like.
Yeah. But for your own role, what does your day-to-day look like? Because I know you are also wearing a lot of hats within the publishing kind of company. So.
It's exciting. I love that this job is an adventure. So we are a small but mighty team here. I'm one of a core group of 4 that keeps Central Michigan University Press running. And so what I do as the coordinator of outreach is that I work on campus. I do outreach to students here locally. At least local to the campus. We also do sometimes off-site events where we go. We were actually lucky enough to be invited to a Michigan high school. So later tonight, we're going to be heading out. Me and one of the co-directors, we're going to be driving out to that location, and we're going to be part of their game night. So we're happy to take part in off-site events as well. We're also looking. We're really excited about the partnerships we can make. So that's another thing that I do. I try to find more places, more homes for our games. So libraries are somewhere where our games naturally find a spot. Connecting with more educators is important. Even just different stores, especially in Michigan. And I know a pet project of mine is to get us into some board game cafes. I think I would really love to see our games there. So just kind of looking for more spaces like that. And in between, I do our social media and our marketing. I help with the crowdfunding campaigns. So I spend a lot of time at my computer too. But I really like talking with people. And this job, this industry has been so nice and welcoming. It's honestly not somewhere I expected that I would be, but everybody that I've talked to, like all the more experienced people who have perhaps been here a very long time or who are even just as new as myself, they've been very kind and helpful and very welcoming. So I've really appreciated that. It's a pleasure to keep working there.
I see. So how many different games has the department published so far? And what is the cadence? Like how many are you publishing a year? Like are you publishing like crazy, or how fast is the publishing cycle? Because I think your kind of process is actually a lot more in-depth than the regular publishing company, because you went through the peer review and sent it to so many different experts, whereas the regular publishing company, they usually do a lot of game testing, obviously, but definitely not as in-depth as your process.
I can't speak to other companies, but I know that we are still trying to find our cadence. We were really, really lucky last year. I think in the course of 2025, we did Keep the Faith, Witch Hunt, Making History, and then we started the whole new series of Art and Systems. So it's Dog Eat Dog, Princess with the Cursed Sword, and The Mountain Witch. All in all, with 6 games we crowdfunded last year. I don't think we're going for that this year, but it's just kind of... It's dependent on what kind of games come through and what we have the bandwidth to do, because we want to make sure we do everything well. And as people in crowdfunding know, it's not just getting things out there and like making your crowdfunding goal, but it's also fulfillment afterwards. So we have multiple different things going at any point in time. But this year we have 2 games that will be crowdfunding that are on the roster, and we'll have other ones that are coming through production and will be available for commercial release. So we'll be crowdfunding The Blue Way by Jason Morningstar with art by Samuel Raya this June on the 16th. And then in October, we'll be crowdfunding Line by Line by Tilak VS with art by Vicky Tran. And that should be, I'm really excited for both of those games. So we currently just have 2 on our list, but during those periods of time, we're also marketing other things where we're talking about where you can find our new games. We're trying to come up with some new ways to talk about what we do. And of course, we're going to Gen Con, which will probably all of July is prepping, but it's a fun time.
Of course, I see. So what is the growth look like if you look into, like, let's say 1 year, 3 years down the road? Are you focusing on expanding the catalog, obviously reaching out to more communities, building more partnership? Like what are some of the big initiatives you're currently working on?
That's a good point. So we are in a unique position as essentially kind of a startup connected to a university. So that determines some of what we can do. And we want to make sure that we are always prioritizing what's going on with our students and bulking up our program there, and of course recruiting more people to the minor, and then hopefully providing more opportunities for students to work with us. We would love to do that. So those are some of our goals. But then it's amazing seeing the games that are submitted to the press. So it would be really wonderful to publish some more of those too. So we want to do well with our current obligations and we want to make sure that as we move forward, we keep the door open and we just do the best we can to grow in this.
I see. And you mentioned earlier you work with mostly external designer, or do you also have a designer inside the team, the 4-people team that you just mentioned?
We have some local partners that have done graphic design for some of our games. So Kate Sullivan of All Access Signs, that's a Mount Pleasant group. She's helped us a lot with graphic design. And she actually did the graphic design for Making History. So it was just very cool. But aside from that, we do have one CMU professor who published a game with us. That's Dr. Wendy Robertson. Her game is Hydrologic Cycle. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, we have external designers submitting their proposals to us, and then we play test it. And again, lots of those designers are coming from an area of academia. I think there's a circle that knows each other, and it's really cool because then the word about us gets out a little bit more. It helps us find our niche. But students and other faculty and anyone is really welcome to submit a game to us. We really hope someday it would be super cool to have a student publish a game with us. It just hasn't happened yet because the program is still really new.
It's still fairly new. I see. And how does that process look like? Does it also go through a peer review process to do the gameplay as well, to decide which one to go through the publishing stage?
That is a very good question. So we take it through a couple different rounds of play testing. We try to find different audiences to play our games before we even take them to peer review. So we do an internal play testing. So a game will come in through our portal and it's always kind of exciting. It's like, oh, there's a new game. What is it going to be? And it comes through as a print and play format. So then we print it out and we cut it out. And we play in our families. We take it to our friends. And then we also do community playtesting nights that we call Break Our Games nights.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite things that we do, actually, because it's another opportunity for students to get hands-on experience in the world of game development and design. They actually step into the process with us, and it is very vital that they come and they help us with these events. So they can see what an unfinished game looks like, and maybe make them feel a little bit better about what they're doing in their classes. But they can also see, you're kicking the tires on this game. You're saying, oh, this didn't work so well, and that's okay. And maybe someday, it'll be fully developed and end up on a shelf, and they'll know that they had a role in getting it there. And we've also made these Break Our Games nights available to just anybody in the community who wants to bring their games in. Yeah, we've had some independent designers come in, like Jacob Way of Friendly Skeleton Games. He brings his games in sometimes, and that's really fun. And the students, again, get more experience. They play more games. So if you're a game nerd and you're anywhere in the Mount Pleasant area, you're always welcome to join us and bring your games too. But it's a really cool way that we connect with our community and we also develop our games at the same time. So after that point, when we gather feedback from those Break Our Games nights, we send them to our designers. And then we take a closer look at the games and we send them to peer review. And after they go through peer review, they go to our editorial board. And the editorial board can recommend that they continue for publication. They go back for some more edits. Or it's just not a fit for our press. And some games are like that, and that's okay. They're wonderful games. We just have.
Is it also like an internal scoring system that's like 1 to 100, like you fit all the criteria, then you pass, kind of like that? Or is it more of a vague, kind of depends on the person that's looking at it? Like how rigid is the qualification process? That's what I'm trying to understand.
That is a really good question. I think over time, undoubtedly, it has evolved as we've gotten bigger and we have new questions to consider with our games. Like, how adult do we want our games to be? Or are there things we don't want to publish? Or this is really cool and experimental, but we have the capacity to crowdfund that at this point in time. So it's really dependent upon the game. And honestly, I'm not a voting member of the editorial board, so I can't tell you. It's comprised of a group of experts. So we have educators in that group. We actually have, we're very, very proud to have Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire is on our editorial board. Super cool. And so they are bringing their experience in the academic world, but also in the world of using games to educate and to entertain, to make sure that we really find the games that'll fit best with our mission, because that's what we have at the heart of everything.
I see. Yeah, it sounds like a very robust process. And how many games do you usually get every single month? I'm just wondering.
That also varies. We opened up a new system for processing games. So prior to that, I don't know, because it would kind of just be emailed to somebody or other, be like, hey, look at my game. But sometimes, honestly, I want to say average maybe one a month. We might have more than that some months, but especially as more people figure out who we are, or in the wake of going to the Game Manufacturers Expo this year, I know we got a couple of more game submissions. So it's just a matter of people discovering us, and then they just kind of submit it as they can.
I see. And I have a question about the business arrangement. Let's just say if you do select one of the designer from the outside, do you just do like a regular licensing deal or royalty deal like everyone else in the industry, or do you have a special arrangement with the designer that you chose the game and decide to go with publishing their game at the end?
That's an excellent question. So I will tell you what I've heard from the people who handle the actual agreements. That's not me. So what I've heard is that what we do is we really try to prioritize our designers' rights. So actually, all of our designers own the copyrights to their game. We have the rights to sell them, and we help them. We manufacture the game, we work with partners, and then we arrange for the crowdfunding, and we can sell them here. Other retailers can sell them as well. But at the end of the day, the designer still owns the rights to their games, which we feel is very important. So that's something that we're very proud of as well.
Yeah, that's actually a different arrangement than most of the other people in the industry. Usually they would just buy it outright and pay the royalty, on the back end.
No, we know how important it is to own your work. As people in academia and just creatives in general, it can be such a big part of who you are, and so much work has gone into that. So people deserve to be part of the process. So we also try to keep in touch with our designers and make sure that we keep up the relationships too.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And as well, kind of toward the end of today's interview here, if you have to share one piece of advice with someone that's just getting started within the toys and game industry, what would that be?
This actually flows really nicely into what I was just talking about. So as a person who's been relatively new to this industry, this is the end of my first year of learning things and learning the ropes. And it can be a lot. It can be so much. And if you're open to it, it's really amazing. And it's a new frontier for expressing ideas and making partnerships. And it's really nice to see people connecting over like analog gaming. Digital gaming is also amazing. And it can be another way that people connect. But in this era, I think where lots of people are feeling lonely, we've especially heard that lots of students are feeling lonely. Playing games really brings people together and emphasizes how important connections are. So I think if I had one piece of advice, it would be make connections when you can, make them genuine, make friends, and as much as you can, pull a good group of people around you, because the people who are your friends, your good connections that you foster, the people you treat with respect and you try to help back, those are the people who help you get your foot in the door and help you move your projects forward or whatever else you're doing. I mentioned we're a really small team here, and we need all 4 of us to make things happen. And the bonds that we've created through that have also really sustained us through some trying times, like hustling things into a convention hall or trying to make things happen at the last minute. The connections that you make with people are undoubtedly a good business idea, but also for you as a person in business who needs to thrive and feel like a human and enjoy your job, it's really important to make good human connections. So that would be my piece of advice.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for our audience that would love to learn more about the university, the program that you offer, where is the best place for people to find you guys online?
Is it all right if I share my Linktree link? I think that will probably have everything that people need in there.
I can include it in the show note, but if there's a website that,
Sure. A good place to start would be if you go to the Central Michigan University website and you look for the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations. That will tell you more about what we do in the academic sector. Okay. You can also find us on our social media pages, which kind of talk about everything that we're doing. Okay. I can give you those in a minute. But if you're looking for more about the press, you can go to cmichpress.com, cmishpress.com.
Okay.
Or our different social medias. I'll just give you the Facebook for right now because it's a bit of a mouthful, and you can find the Linktree from there. Okay. But our Facebook is the CMU Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations.
Okay.
So
I see.
We would really appreciate. We're also on Blue Sky and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and Threads.
Yeah.
And Discord. So come find us.
Okay, got it. I'll make sure we put that in the show note as well. But thank you so much for your time today and sharing your experience and your journey within the toys and games industry with us.
I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on, Jason.
Thank you. And thank you for our audience for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I hope today's conversation gave you some practical insight and fresh inspiration for growing your own toys and game brands. This podcast is sponsored by Toy Launch, leading marketing and growth partner for toys and game company. At Toy Launch, we help brands scale on Amazon and beyond through full service account management, advertising, SEO, creative, catalog optimization, influencer marketing, and more. If you are looking for a proven team that understands both the e-commerce digital marketing and also the toys and game industry, we are here to help. If you'd like a personal breakdown of your brand, opportunity, and the best next step, you can schedule a free consultation session with us. Just visit toy-launch.com/schedule. If you want to connect with other toys and game founders, join our free community at Toy and Games Launchpad. It is our free Facebook group. For more resource, update, and industry insight, visit us anytime at our homepage, toy-launch.com. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good one.